The story of the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets is the story of this university. It begins almost 150 years ago and proudly continues today. Since 1872, the Corps of Cadets has embodied the values and the spirit of the university's motto, Ut Prosim, that I may serve. Today, the Corps is a premier, 4-year, full-time leadership development experience. Its mission is to graduate leaders of exemplary character who are instilled with the values and skills essential for leadership success in service to the nation. Cadets at Virginia Tech truly enjoy the best of both worlds, living a military lifestyle at a diverse research university that offers more than 150 bachelor's degree programs. From liberal arts to engineering, cadets are following their passions and preparing to bring positive change to the world. Our Citizen Leader Track cadets are pursuing careers in the public and private sectors and are in high demand by employers because of their adaptable leadership experience in the Corps. For those in the Military Leader Track, their Corps experience culminates in commissioning as an officer in the United States Armed Forces. As part of their training, cadets are expected to maintain a healthy lifestyle and to develop themselves physically as well as mentally. They are challenged to push boundaries and do things they've never done before, and they pay homage to our history.
Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in.
All you do.
Ready? Front.
Each year, young men and women from all over the world whose passion is to be accomplished leaders of exemplary character become members of the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets. The path to graduation and commissioning is both challenging and exhilarating. While not an easy journey, it is a path to a meaningful life of service and to becoming a confident leader whose honor, ethics, and values are shaped by their Corps experience. With the complex challenges facing our nation and the world, now, more than ever, it is time for the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Brigadier General Dwayne Edwards. It's my privilege to serve as Commandant of the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets in the interim period while we're awaiting the arrival of our selected Commandant, who is Major General William Seeley, who is completing an active duty career with the U.S. Marine Corps. And he'll be arriving later in the academic year. I want to welcome you to Blacksburg, to Virginia Tech, to this part of campus that we call the Upper Quad, home of the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets. I want to congratulate the incoming students for choosing this way of life, and it is a way of life, as a pathway to success in service And I want to thank all of the parents and loved ones for entrusting your young students to us in the coming weeks and months and years. I'm going to share a couple of things with you, some for the parents, some for the incoming students. Before I do that, I want to say just a little bit about myself, not because I like talking about me, but so that you'll have a little bit of a lens to evaluate what I'm going to say. And the first thing I'll tell you is that I wore this uniform or one like it for 36 years, much of it which involved training, education, and in the academic pieces of the military. So I have that experience. About half of the time during the week, I have another job, which is across the drill field where I'm department head of biological systems engineering. I've been involved in that career for a long time as an instructor, as a mentor, as someone who has been very heavily engaged in the success of our students. So I have that piece. And then finally, a little bit more personally, I am a parent. I have two sons. I have a daughter who is the light of my life, and the other two sons know that. And so that's just the way it is, and they're going to have to continue to live with it. Now, my larger point in sharing those kinds of things is that most, if not all, of the core staff have very similar experiences and priorities. They've served multiple decades active duty in the armed services, many with significant operational experience, educational and training experience. They have that perspective. They are also very heavily invested in the academic success of your students because they know that that's basically job one. And all of those other professional goals that our incoming students have are contingent on academic success. So they are very experienced, as well as all of the upper class cadets that your incoming students are going to be engaging with. Those upper class cadets who are going to help them get through this next period of their careers have been through it. They've seen it. They're experienced. All of this is to say that your incoming students are in good hands, and those who that they work with will have been very experienced in what's going to happen. Now, the intro slide mentioned global ethical leaders. That is, in fact, the organizational vision of the Corps of Cadets. And to break that down just a little bit, what it means is we're trying to prepare graduates who can function at a very high level on the global stage. Why the global stage? We're all connected. We have been for some time. And so we want to prepare our graduates so that they can function in this environment, which is, by the way, vague, it's uncertain, it's complex, it's ambiguous. Other than that, it's perfectly clear, okay? That's a little bit of a challenge now, because if you think about what we are actually trying to do, we're trying to prepare graduates who can see through the fog, work past the stress, the confusion, the other circumstances that may be present in an individual level, and make the right call. That's what we're trying to do. That's hard. To do that, I will say that we practice the way that we intend to play. And so to translate that, it means that the preparation, that the training, it's going to be demanding. Okay, and I'll just say that. And I'll just say it's going to be tough. And let's get that out there too. You know, I will say moreover that it may be of such a nature that there are dark moments of the soul. Okay? Now, I've had my dark moments of the soul. And one of the ones that, sticks out in my mind, I was a 17-year-old at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, going through enlisted basic training. I had come just weeks before from graduating a very small high school. Some people say, yeah, I went to a small school. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. I had 32 graduating classmates. It was pretty small. And there I was. I'm surrounded by these people in these, flat brim drill sergeant hats. They look like they're made of blocks of granite held together with steel cables. And they are telling me what to do, when to do it, where to do it, look on my face, thoughts in my mind while I do it. And all with just an inexplicable degree of enthusiasm. And it hit. I thought, this is not what I was expecting. And then I thought, I don't know if I could do this. But there was a but. I also realized that in my group, there were 49 other people who were really just like me. They hadn't seen this before. They were experiencing it at the same time as I was. And that maybe, just maybe, there is power in that group that I can lean on to help me. And maybe at some point, I can let them lean on me and help them. And as time continued to pass, I realized that those alien creatures that I had encountered were actually there to help me get through this experience. They were trying to help me become the best that I could. Now, I'm not going to say that I made it through all that training without some shortcomings, let's say. There were things that I messed up. Imagine that. There were times that I failed. Now, I will tell you, though, that failing to fail does not necessarily make one a failure. And the analogy that I like to use is that in younger days, I would go to the gym and go to the flat bench. That's where everybody figures out, just what they can do. The 9 repetitions that I could do were not the ones that made me grow. What made me grow was the 10th one that I couldn't do, that I tried and failed. Because if I kept coming back, if I persisted, if I stayed determined, there was going to be a day that I got it. And that was the day that I did something that I had not done before. And if you keep that up, then you can find yourself doing things that you had not imagined that you would do. So that kind of failure, kind that makes you grow, is baked into the training and the preparation for the reasons that I shared earlier. But it's going to be okay. Because again, it's the kind that makes you grow. The last thing I will share is that the way that we do this is not by tearing people down and then building them back up again. I don't even know what that means. I doubt that you can do it. And if you can, I'm not sure that we would like what we get. What we do instead is we take advantage of the fact that you, the parents, have already been building a foundation for 17 or 18 years that we can continue to build forward. That's what we do. And so this works for us because you're good parents. And how can I say that when I don't know any of you personally? I can say that because you're here. Okay, I can say it because you're here. So now I'm going to ask you, the parents, guardians, loved ones, to really, really trust us through these kinds of things that I've just described. And you're going to see more in the upcoming video and briefing. Trust us to use the good work that you've done as a starting point to develop that global ethical leader. I hope you enjoy your time here. Please do not leave with any questions unanswered. And I'll hope to see all of you on August the 24th with the new cadet parade. Enjoy your time here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, General Edwards. I'm Captain Jamie McGrath. I'm the director of the Rice Center for Leader Development, which is the education arm of the Corps of Cadets. I'm an alum of this program. So I'm back here now because I believe in what it does and what it did for me to prepare me for my steps for a 30-year Navy career. So I'm one of the people that General Edwards mentioned who's here and committed to the success of your cadets in this program. What I'd like to do now is kind of introduce you to the rest of the staff. You've already met General Edwards, and he mentioned General Seeley, who is our selected commandant, who'll be joining us later in the academic year. Many of you have already met Lieutenant Colonel Merriger or Taylor Cup. They're our recruiting team. They've worked with you to get you here. They'll work with you the rest of the summer. But come the 16th of August, they're going to shift their focus to the class of 2029. And you're going to shift your focus and communication to your deputy commandant. These deputy commandants are all officers with 20 plus years of military experience, and they are going to work directly with the cadets in each of the battalions to develop the training programs and running the Corps of Cadets. They are ably assisted by 4 senior enlisted advisors. These are soldiers, sailors, or Marines with a 20 plus years of military experience, and they are responsible for the discipline and training of the cadets at each of their battalions. Working across the entire regiment, myself as the director of the Rice Center for Leader Development, as I mentioned, I run the academic elements of the Corps. So, and I also teach the freshman cadet class. So you will see me once a week for the first year you're here. And then also Ms. Lakita Miller, our business manager, who makes sure all the bills get paid so you can have all the resources that you need in order to be successful here at the Corps. We partner very closely with the residential well-being elements on campus. This is the program that runs all of our on-campus residence halls, so civilian students as well as the cadets here in the Corps. And to do that, we have 2 embedded counselors or case managers. And their job is to ensure that you have access to all the resources that you need to be successful as a student here at Virginia Tech. Ms. Katie Mallory is our communications director. She will be the one who'll be putting out all the information that you need to know about the organization. She also runs our social media channels. So you'll be hearing a lot more from her either directly or indirectly throughout the year. Senior Chief Bean is our music director. He's the director of the Heidi Tidies, our regimental band. If you play a band instrument, especially a marching band instrument, he'll be very interested in speaking to you. He'll be in the library today, and he'll talk to all of you as part of your rotation today. And Ms. Samantha Riggins is the director of our museum. Unfortunately, our museum is closed for maintenance right now, but we do encourage you when you come back to campus to make sure you take a look at our museum, see a little bit about the history of this organization. And then lastly, but not least, Mr. Ken Mallory and Ms. Sarah Fleener are the director and associate director of our Citizen Leader Track. They run the ROTC-like activities for our Citizen Leader Track cadets, those who are not enrolled in an ROTC program. And speaking of the ROTCs, although they are not part of this organization, we do work very closely with them as we develop your leadership skills over the 4 years of your time here in this program. So the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets is organized on an Army regimental model. We have 4 battalions, and each of those battalions has companies, 3 or 4 companies. The commandant oversees the running of the organization writ large, and the deputy commandants assist by working directly with the battalions for the day-to-day operations of the Corps. The regimental band is in the 4th Battalion as a military company, but then works for the regimental commander directly for performances and representation of the Corps and the university throughout the year. Already mentioned one of these elements, the Citizen Leader Track. Here in the Corps of Cadets, all cadets are cadets. We wear cadet uniforms. We do not discriminate or differentiate between the different ROTCs while you're in the cadet regiment. But all cadets will be enrolled in one of 2 tracks, a military leader track or a citizen leader track. That military leader track means you'll be enrolled in one of the 3 ROTC programs here at Virginia Tech, Army, Air Force, or Navy, and the Marines are under Navy, and actually Space Force is now under the Air Force as well. And here at Virginia Tech, if you're enrolled in an ROTC program, you must be in the Corps of Cadets. But the other half of that Venn diagram is if you are in the Corps, you do not have to be in ROTC, but you do need to be enrolled in one of our programs. So if you're not in ROTC, you'll be in our Citizen Leader track. You'll be part of our VPI program. We're very proud of that program. We think it does a lot to help people succeed in developing their leadership as they move forward. On average, 85% of our Citizen Leader track graduates will go on to or leave here with a firm job offer or a graduate school acceptance. The good chunk of that 15% that remains are continuing their education here at Virginia Tech. This is just a snapshot of where last year's VPI graduates ended up. Law enforcement, national security, industry, or education. One of the ones on there is the Defense Civilian Training Corps, or the DCTC. Again, Virginia Tech is very proud to be one of 4 universities nationwide who are piloting this program. It is an ROTC-like program for the Defense Department to develop civilian leaders. We started last fall with 16 cadets in the program. We're having another cohort begins this fall. That program is very helpful for the students as well, because in junior and senior year, it pays tuition, fees, a book stipend, a living stipend, an internship, and a guaranteed job upon graduation. So if you are not in a military track, you are interested in still interested in service, this DCTC program is available for you to apply your sophomore year. So a little bit about you as a class. There are 450 of you joining the Corps at the beginning of the year. Just to put that in perspective, when I was here as a cadet, there were 500 total cadets. So your class is almost as large as the Corps was, and larger than the Corps was in the mid-90s. So that's a pretty big deal. And when you add the rest of the regiment, we have approximately 1,330 cadets in the Corps, which makes us the largest Corps we've had in half a century. We point this out because you are joining an organization that's not only strong and thriving, but also growing. So again, the success of this program continues to speak for itself. As a class, you're coming from 32 different states and territories in 7 countries. When you bring in the rest of the regiment, that goes to 39 states and territories and 13 countries. Demographically, you break down like this. I'd like to point out here that the active duty military is 17% women. We're 22% here. Virginia Tech is proud that we are the first senior military college and or service academy that allowed or invited women into our Corps of Cadets. We just celebrated our 50th year last year. And so we are very proud of the fact that we develop leaders of all types through this program. So as a class, this is how you break down between the ROTCs and the Citizen Leader track. This is about the average for the whole Corps. And you are enrolled in a large number of academic majors, although a large number of you are engineers. We do have cadets who are in every single college here at the university. We represent over 100 majors in the Corps. So even if you think you're the only one in that major, there's probably somebody else who's been there and done that we can get you connected with to help mentor you and guide you through your 4 years here as a student. So I showed you that picture of the regiment. That's a pretty big organization. There was all of us spread across the drill field, and now you're just one person. Where do you fit into that whole thing? Well, your focus while you're here, especially during your first phase of training, is going to be at the company level. And the people you're going to interact with most are what we call your cadre. There's 2 seniors, the CO, the commanding officer, and the executive officer. They're overall responsible for the running of the company, the running of your training programs, the supervising of the training, and along those lines. The training is actually going to be conducted by juniors that are going to be led by a first sergeant and a number of cadre sergeants. These are juniors that have been selected based on their prior performance, and they arrive here a week before you do to learn how to do this job more fully. You are going to be working most directly with these cadre sergeants on a regular basis. So the new cadets, that's the person you're going to see every morning, every evening, all throughout the day, and you're going to have most interactions with these cadre sergeants. And as a group, you will become a training company. For instance, in this particular case, you'll be training company Alpha 2A. When the rest of the regiment returns, you will fold into the overall line companies, but most of your identity here in the Corps and most of your day-to-day operations will be done at that company level. Now the question is, what company am I going to be in? How do we determine that? Well, it is random. I mentioned that we do not delineate between the various ROTCs or any of the majors here in the Corps. A cadet is a cadet. So we randomly distribute cadets throughout the companies, and we expect to announce those on or about the 2nd of August through the Star Res program. So students, that means you, because Star Res is your account, you need to get onto Star Res around the 2nd of August, and you'll find out what your room assignment is and your company assignment. Now I said on or about the 2nd of August. If it's midnight 01 on the 2nd of August, it's not up there, please. It may not be that fast, but keep checking around the 2nd of August. All right, so you're going to arrive here and join the Corps, and we're going to have you're going to get trained on how to be a cadet. So I'm going to give you your first piece of training for cadets. Here, when we raise our hand in the Corps, we either have it all the way down or all the way up. There's none of this halfway in between. So if I ask people to raise their hands, please keep that in mind. So who can tell me what the 3 phases of training here are at Virginia Tech? Who's read the new cadet hand? Okay, go ahead.
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue phase. Now the flag might hopefully be a little bit of a giveaway, but red, white, and blue phase. So red, the most intense phase, as you can imagine. During that red phase of training, which will start when you arrive on the 16th of August with New Cadet Week. And during that time frame, you're going to be a new cadet, and you're primarily going to focus on learning all of the skills and aspects you need in order to be a cadet. How to wear a uniform, how to march, how to be in formation, how to maintain your room standards, some of those things like that. That phase is about 7 weeks long, 1 week of New Cadet Week, 6 weeks during the first semester, and then it will end at the Caldwell March 1, which was mentioned in that video. We do half of that walk that Addison Caldwell did from his home in Craig County to Virginia Tech. After that Caldwell March 1, you'll be promoted to the rank of cadet, and the white phase of training will be we will continue to build proficiency in those skills that you learned in the red phase. That phase goes to the end of the fall semester, and then you will go home on winter break. And when you come back from winter break, you will be in the blue phase of training, which goes all of spring semester and ends at Caldwell March 2, which is at the end of the semester, where you finish that journey here on the upper quad and are promoted to sophomore cadet. Throughout this entire time, you're going to increase your knowledge, you're going to increase your level of responsibility, but you also see increases in privileges as you go forward through these various phases of training. So speaking of New Cadet Week, that's going to be your first hurdle, that new cadet move in, and New Cadet Week is the first week. So I'm going to show you a little video here. Pay attention to the video. I'm going to talk about many of the elements in the rest of the presentation. Also, if you really like this video, it's on our YouTube channel. You can watch it over and over again if you want to get yourself ready.
Gave you a brief. Who is he?
This will be a week like you have not had before in your lives. You're going to be told where to go, when to be there, what to do when you get there. You give away your watch, your iPhone, your music. You're not going to have any time to yourself. None.
This is New Cadet Week, where all the new cadets incoming freshmen are coming to train. New Cadet Week is usually about a week long, a week before the academic year starts.
It allows for rising freshmen to get acquainted with what the Corps is all about. Because they are coming from their own personal lives and such, there needs to be a sense of discipline that's instilled within them. So New Cadet Week is getting them acquainted with military bearings, standards, how to move expeditiously to one task to another. There's just like so much discipline that's instilled within these rising freshmen so they can maintain their student life and the military life at the same time.
I remember being absolutely terrified of my cadre, but they also really helped me and encouraged me a lot. So while I was terrified, I also knew that they were going to help me and get me through the week, because a lot of things happen at once. You're getting a lot of information and it's just hard to process it.
New Cadet Week was an experience, I'll say that for a fact. When I came in and entered through Torgerson Hall, everything was an immediate shock. There was just so much going on at the same time. It was sensory overload, but because they overloaded me, I started getting comfortable with the feeling of being uncomfortable, and that's what New Cadet Week really taught me.
You're gonna mess up, you're gonna make mistakes. It's how you handle those mistakes that really define you as a person.
They can't complete New Cadet Week unless you work together as a team. You need to look to the left and to the right of you and realize that your brothers and sisters in arms are here to help you out. You cannot do it alone.
Go, boy, go! Go, boy, go!
A lot of people come with an individual mindset. Today, we are at the Oak Course. You are trying to build your confidence as a team. You want to work together as a team because that is a big skill that you need in the military.
I believe that strength through unity is something that the regiment as a whole needs to embody.
The pass and review marks the formal ending of New Cadet Week. Speaking to all the members of the class of 2027, the staff and cadre have been tremendously impressed by your dedication and hard work. Well done.
So that's everything you need to know. Any questions? All right. Well, that's so in video form, that shows you a lot about what you were doing for the week, but just to help you a little bit more about what you can expect when you get here, I will tell you right now, you can expect to be woken up bright and early, and I'm actually going to rephrase that because it's actually not bright, not light yet at 5:15, so it's dark and early. So we're going to get you up every morning at 5:15. We're going to get you ready. We're going to get your uniform ready. We're going to get your room inspected. And then we're going to go to the VT at 6:45 and have a flag formation every morning during New Cadet Week. We'll all stand in formation. We'll raise the flag. From the flag formation, we're going to go to breakfast. And then we're going to get ourselves energized, hydrated. What do you think we're going to do after breakfast?
Workout.
Everybody says PT. No. What's the purpose of New Cadet Week? Is to learn how to be a cadet. Not to learn how to do push-ups and sit-ups. That'll come. We'll get to that. Yes, it'll be physically demanding, but we're going to focus on teaching you the skills you need to be a cadet. So marching, getting your uniforms ready, getting your rooms ready. Again, as was said in the thing, figuring out how to get to places on time. It will be physically demanding, yes, but it is not going to be physical training per se. Well, the ROTCs will handle that as part of your training as we move forward. So we're going to do that. We're going to take a break for lunch. What do you think we're going to do after lunch?
More training.
More training, exactly. That's what you're here for, is to learn all those skills. So we're going to do more training after lunch. We're going to stop for dinner, and we're going to do more training after dinner for a couple reasons. First of all, there's a lot to learn. Second of all, that evening time frame around here, it doesn't get dark until about 8:30, 9 o'clock, but it also is a lot cooler in the evening than it is in the middle of the day. So we're going to keep training. But what we are going to do at the end of the day is we're going to slow down. We're going to take a moment. We're going to do health and welfare checks, make sure your feet are okay, make sure you're okay. And then we're going to get you to bed around 10 o'clock. And why is it important that you get to bed around 10 o'clock? Back up at 5:15 the next morning, right? This is what New Cadet Week looks like. Now, this is not what the school year looks like. I'll get to that in just a minute. But this is what you can expect to do during New Cadet Week. And during New Cadet Week, we're going to teach you all of these things. Now, you don't need to take a picture of this or write this down. First of all, it's in the New Cadet Guide. Second of all, we're going to tell you all these things. We're going to lead you through all these processes. But during this process, we're going to teach you everything you need to know to have the basics of being a cadet and be part of the regiment. And we're going to refine that over the rest of the red phase. At the end of New Cadet Week, we're going to do a New Cadet Parade. We're going to demonstrate all those skills that you learned that week. We're going to do a pass review in front of a reviewing officer on the drill field, 10 o'clock, Saturday morning, the 24th. Parents, you are welcome to join us. If you can't, that's okay. But if you do join us, you'll be able to take your new cadet home for that evening. I will tell you right now, they're going to want to do 3 things and 3 things only: eat, sleep, and laundry. So don't expect this to be some sort of great, philosophical conversation. It's probably going to be those 3 things. They need to be back by Sunday at 4 o'clock. All these details will be, we'll get these in lots of other venues as well. But just understand that New Cadet Parade on Saturday is the culmination of the New Cadet training, or New Cadet Week training. We are, however, the general mentioned it. I will mention it numerous times throughout your time here. You are students first, and so that transition to academics is important. So we're going to do some things during New Cadet Week to help set you up for success when classes start. The first thing is, if you heard me in the video, I said we're going to take away your watch and your phone and all that sort of stuff. Once a day, we are going to let you have access to email, because that's how the university communicates with you. So if there's any university issues that need to get resolved, you'll be able to do that during New Cadet Week. We'll have cadre who are there with you, who can help you get through any of those processes. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have presentations throughout the New Cadet Week on academic skills, academic resources. We're going to do, if you might see in some of the emails you're getting from the university, they're going to do some orientation activities across campus when students arrive and move in. We're going to do those same activities as part of New Cadet Week, except we're going to have cadets teach those courses. That's those Hokies on Track sessions. Make sure you know what it means to be a student, what some expectations here are at Virginia Tech, what resources are available, and the like. All of you are going to go to your college orientation on Friday during New Cadet Week. So again, you might see different emails about dates and times for that. All cadets will go on Friday to their college orientation, and they're going to teach each of the colleges, will tell you what you need to know in order to be successful in their particular areas of specialty. And then classes will start on Monday, the 26th. Once classes start, we have a large range of resources available to you for your academic success. The vast majority of these are resources that we'll make available and we will tell you about, and we will have them for you, but you will need to reach out and grab them. Two others I do want to point out though is the Management 1945 class. That's the freshman or first year experience class for cadets. We're going to talk about transitioning from high school to college to cadet and the like. That's the course you'll have with me every week during your first year here. So that is everyone will do that. That's not you'll get that whether you want it or not. And then the last thing on there I want to point out is the FERPA. For those of you who don't know what FERPA is, it's it protects the students' educational information. Your students, and this came as a shock to me when I first had college students, as no longer minors, it is their information to share or not share. Mom and dad, if you're paying the tuition bill, it doesn't matter. That was very frustrating, but it is a requirement. And so as part of your online orientation, you should have gone through a FERPA page. There are a lot of automatic things on that FERPA page that you may have not checked because they were automatically checked, or you could have gone through it in great detail. What I encourage all of you to do is go back through that FERPA page and make sure everybody understands what the student has said they will and will not share, that the parents and the students have a general agreement of what that is. But remember, at any time, it's the student's prerogative to change that. And then lastly, there needs to be a FERPA code. That FERPA code is something that the student sets up and gives to people that they are willing to share their academic information with. The reason you need that FERPA code is if you call us to ask about your student and you don't have the FERPA code, we can't talk to you about your student. So we're bound by that. So make sure that you have that conversation as a family about what those expectations are, who's going to have those codes, et cetera. So we think that all the effort we put into academics has done a pretty good job. Over the last decade, the Corps' overall average has maintained above a 3.0. It was a 3.25 last semester. 3/4 of our cadets had a 3.0 or above themselves, and over 40 of them had perfect 4.0s. This is a statistic that I'm even more proud of, and that is our freshman first year cumulative GPA. So first and second semesters combined was a 3.19. Across the university, the average is 2.92. So cadets are doing better than the average student academically. I'm not saying some don't do poorly and some obviously are going to excel regardless of where they are, but I think we do a pretty good job of setting our students up for success academically as they go through the program. So I mentioned that New Cadet Week, 5:15, 10 o'clock every day. That's not what it looks like during the year. We also recognize that as a cadet, we're going to ask you to do some things that your average student isn't going to be able to, or isn't going to be asked to do. So you're going to have more on your plate. So this is kind of what a typical week's going to look like. First of all, here's where your physical training comes in. Starting with the first week of classes, you're going to do physicals training based on which ROTC you're in. So if you're an Army or the VPI, you're going to do it very early in the morning. If you've chosen wisely and you're in the Air Force or the Navy, you'll be doing it at 8 o'clock. So probably twice or 3 times a week, you're going to do physical training with your ROTCs. The reason we have the ROTCs focus on physical training and not the Corps is that each of the services has different physical training requirements and standards. And so rather than confuse people, we put the focus, the ROTCs handle the physical training aspect of it so they can make sure they do it to the level and the standards of their particular service. Regardless of when you have PT, everyone's going to be up and dressed and in uniform by 7:30 for a flag formation on the VT during every weekday. So we're going to start off our morning. The beautiful thing about that is you're already up and ready for 8 o'clock classes. So something to keep in mind. All cadets are also required to attend laboratories. On Tuesday is their professional laboratory for their ROTC or VPI. On Thursdays are the core labs. So each cadet is required to attend those laboratories. We also have something called evening call to quarters. So evening call to quarters, all freshmen cadets are required to be in their rooms or an approved study location for 4 hours in the evening every school night. And so although this is a mandatory activity, it also does enhance and help you develop your academics because it should be a study time. On Fridays and Saturdays, Friday evenings, Saturday mornings, usually we're going to do some training. So we mentioned the red phase. We're still working on developing those skills as cadets. So that's when we're going to focus the majority of that trainings on Friday evenings and Saturday mornings. And then how many of you have heard we have a football team here at Virginia Tech? A couple of you. Okay, I'm pretty excited. They're supposed to be pretty good this year. If the football team is in town, it's a work day for us. We as a corps march over to the stadium together. We march onto the field in the pregame for the games. The freshmen form the tunnel that the football team runs out of. You're on the field for Enter Sandman, so it's a pretty cool experience. But we're busy that day because we stay all the way through until the clock goes 0-0-0-0 in the fourth quarter, regardless of the outcome. So on football days, you're going to be busy. When there's not a football game in town, there's probably something else going on. There's either ROTC specific training, or we have a couple other events that happen on Saturdays for cadets. So the bottom line is weekend Saturdays, you're probably going to be busy. But the rest of this green space is yours to figure out how you're going to do your classes, eat your dinners and lunches, do your personal physical training if you want to do more than what's on the ROTCs, do your laundry, go grocery shopping, all those sorts of things. I say this because yes, we're busy. We ask you to do some things, but frequently the mom and dad will get the phone call. Hey, I don't have time to do fill in the blank. Mom and dad, the first question that you should ask them is, how are you managing your green space? So yes, I know there's things that you have to do because you're in the Corps, but there's a lot of space in there. And it's for the academic slide I just showed you, lots of people have figured this out. So it can be done. And we're also going to give you some tools to help manage your time as well as part of that Management 1945 class. So you can do some things now to help yourself get ready. First of all, you can make sure you read that new cadet guide, front to back to front, sideways. New cadets, this is your requirement for you. Mom and dad, you're encouraged to read it, but make sure you're reading that new cadet guide. Today, you're going to get boots and shoes issued to you as part of your tailor shop uniform fitting. Make sure you take those boots and shoes with you and bring them and wear them around to break them in. But not only are you breaking in those shoes, but you're also breaking in your feet. Because most of you are probably not used to wearing low quarter leather shoes around all day. I'm looking around, I don't see a lot of them on people's feet, right? That is definitely different than what you may be used to. So you're also breaking in your feet. But you can start hydrating now. If you're one of those people who needs a cup of coffee to get going in the morning, you're not gonna get one during New Cadet Week. Now we're gonna get you nice and awake, that won't be a problem, but get used to drinking a lot of water. Prepare yourself physically. So this basic idea is if you could run about 1.5 miles, do push-ups and sit-ups, you should have the physical necessity it is in order to handle the physical activity that we're going to do during New Cadet Week. The ROTCs will refine that further on what the skill requirements are. We also want you to prepare yourself mentally. And for that, we have a session at noon today that we'd like you to come back to. We're going to talk about some of the skills that you can do to help prepare yourself now for the activities of the Corps Cadets and New Cadet Week. And then lastly, you can get access to the guide on that book they were holding in front of them like this in that video online if you want to start getting a leg up on the New Cadet knowledge. All right. So I mentioned parents, you're encouraged to read that New Cadet Guide. There's something in the New Cadet Guide called a packing list. So it's very important that you look at that packing list and follow what I'm going to show right here because we're going to move 450 students into 3 dorms in 4 hours. It can be done, but we really need your help. What we want to do is we want to avoid this. That is not what it should look like when you arrive. And mom and dad, you're going to be really concerned about this as well for a minute, what I'm going to tell you just in a minute. But this is what it should look like if you're packing what's on the packing list. That should fit in maybe a Honda Civic, maybe a Honda Accord, right? It's not a lot of stuff. Don't bring anything extra. You're not going to be able to use it anyway. So if it's not on the packing list, you shouldn't have to bring it. If it's on the packing list, make sure you bring it. There's a couple things I do want to point out. Extension cords not allowed in the dorms. So if you think you're going to need to be able to get from the outlet to your desk or something like that, If you bring an extension cord, we will have to take it away on behalf of the fire marshal. We'll give it back to you so you can take it home, but they can't have them in the dorms. So when you're out buying that power strip and the details of what those can and can't be are in the new cadet guide, get one with a long cord so that you can use it to help move from the outlet to where the desk might be. All right, so move-in day. So how are we gonna get 450 of you in 4 hours? The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna ask you to mark all of your boxes with your room, your company, your building, your name, so that if you get separated from your stuff, it can find your room. Remember, 2nd of August is when we expect to have that information for you. Next, we're gonna ask you to sign up online for a move-in time. They're in half-hour increments. We ask you to A, sign up, and B, show up at your signed time. You're gonna have a email to something to put in your dashboard, an unloading pass. Please print that out, put it in your dashboard so we know where to direct you when you arrive. Once you get there, we're gonna ask you to follow the directions of the cadets to a parking spot so we can make sure we fill all those parking spots in. You're gonna drop off your belongings on the curb and then go park your car. Leave your stuff there because we need the space back again. Don't worry, it won't walk off. We've got hundreds of cadets walking around and it's all labeled, so it'll get to you even if it does. Now, parents, here's why it's important for you to pack with the live packing list. The next thing that happens before you move the stuff, your new cadet leaves. And it's gonna come here to start in processing. So that means you're stuck with the stuff. So if you bring extra stuff, you're stuck with the extra stuff. So please recognize, just keep with the packing list. The new cadet's gonna go do their in processing. After you park the car, you're gonna return to your stuff and you're gonna bring it up to their rooms. We don't need you to make their bed. We don't need you to hang everything in the closet. We don't need you to make square away their desk. Just get the stuff in their room, get it unpacked out of the trolley. You know, might take a peer out of the box or whatever, but we're gonna tell them how to make the bed. We're gonna tell them how to hang up their clothes and all those sorts of things. So whatever you do is probably wrong anyway. So don't waste your time. Your new cadet will join you after they're done in processing. We think that's gonna take about 45 minutes. I say think. It's the first time we've done it in this building, so it might go faster, it might go slower. We don't know. So new cadets who are arriving without families, if they're arriving alone, we're gonna provide separate instructions to help them through that process because we recognize you can't be in 2 places at once. So to recap, this is just a map version. So to orient yourself, the big thing you need to know is Main Street. That's the street you're gonna come into campus on. You're gonna turn either down Turner Street or Alumni Mall based on where your residence hall is. If you're in Pearson Hall East or West, you'll go down Alumni Mall. If you are in Upper Quad North, you're gonna go down Turner Street. What you will do is you will turn down the street, you'll check in with that cadet. That cadet will then direct you to a unloading area. Please again, follow the directions of the cadets who will be in their orange vests to the parking spots that they're gonna assign you to. Then your new cadet is gonna go off to the Core Leadership Military Science Building. You are going to park your car in North End Garage. Most of you are parked there right now. We're gonna help you out with this. After paying all the tuition and all that jazz, we're gonna pay for your parking, so we're gonna save you $8. But we will give you a parking pass when you check in to park in North End Garage all day that day. After you park the car, you're gonna go back to your belongings and you're gonna bring them to the room. And then, as I said, your new cadet's gonna join you after check-in. So please follow the directions of the cadets on where to go for parking. There's gonna be cadets that are also telling you how to get to your residence hall, how to get to the room you're looking for. It's gonna help the new cadets get to the CLMS. We'll help get the new cadets back to their rooms. So got plenty of people out and about showing you around that day. And this will also all be included in some of those webinars that I've got up there. So the information that I've just gone through, it'll be put out in several other ways. But please, just the 2nd of August, make sure you're getting your room information, marking your belongings, arriving on time. And then if you have any further questions, please join those webinars that will be announced via Canvas. So it's often asked, can I bring a car? Short answer is yes. Longer answer is you probably won't be able to use it while you're here, especially during the first semester, because first of all, you're gonna be traveling around with about 20 of your closest friends every time you go. So unless your car is a bus, you won't be able to use your car. The second reason is that you have to park your car in student parking, which is about a 30-minute walk from here. And in most cases, you're not gonna have a huge amount of free time at any given time. So you're gonna get to the car right about the time you're gonna need to turn around and walk back. So chances are you would not be able to use your car while you're here. Plus, there's a bus system that's gonna get you to pretty much anything you need to get to on campus, off campus, or in the New River Valley. If you do need to bring your car, and I understand there are reasons, when I was, my students were here, I was living in Europe, so they didn't have a way to get to and from campus, so they had a car. I got that, but just recognize it's gonna get parked in that parking lot most of the time. And if you do need to bring a car, parking passes are available online at the VT parking webpage on August 6th. Some key dates here. Again, don't need you to memorize these. These are going to be available. You can access these through our core webpage. There's a link to this calendar. I've already given you most of these dates. The new cadet move-in on the 16th, new cadet parade on the 24th, classes start on the 26th. After classes start though, there's a lot of stuff. It's a sprint to Thanksgiving. There is something almost every weekend on the calendar for your new cadets. And we tell you this so that you can recognize up front, do not expect your new cadet to come home over the weekend between the start of new cadet week and Thanksgiving. They're gonna be busy. Now, if there's a death in the family or their brother's getting married or something like that, please work with us and we will. But if it's their second cousin's 4th birthday, we might want to skip that. What we really want to do is we want your students to be included and involved in all the training activities. It's part of the program and in the group dynamics of developing that camaraderie with their other members of their training company. And if they're gone for those activities, they lose out on those particular benefits of the program. Parents, you are welcome to come visit. Just recognize if you're here that the student has to do the mandatory cadet activities first, and then they'll be released after that if you want to take them out to dinner or have them overnight or the like. I mentioned the regimental band earlier. Senior Chief Bean will be in the library. He'll be talking to you. If you play a band instrument, especially a marching band instrument, he'd like to talk to you. And there's advantages to being in the regimental band. A little extra work. I was in the band myself. I absolutely loved it. But if you are in the band, you also get an addition $1,000 stipend your freshman and sophomore year. So that is a kind of an offset of the extra work. You get a little bit of extra money to offset your cost of education. So please see Senior Chief Bean today if you are at all interested. While you're here, the general mentioned, please don't leave until you have all your questions answered. Ask any of those in uniform or with the Corps of Cadets staff shirts on. Please ask us. If we don't know the answer, we'll get you connected. I also ask you to please come back here at noon today for the resiliency and Corps scholarship presentation so you can know what kind of money the Corps is going to give you in addition to your ROTCs. And then please make sure you ask any questions that you have. Last stuff. We have a couple of ways of communicating around here. The official communications page is through Hokie Family Hub, and there's a new cadet families page. So this is where you're going to get the official information from the university. The less official, but sometimes more fun, is going to come in our social media channels. We're up on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook. The YouTube channel, as I mentioned, has that new cadet video that I showed you earlier. Just a couple of things recognize. We're going to use these channels to tell you what the Corps is doing and what's going on in the Corps. You may not see a photo of your individual cadet on every day, or even for some, because some of them hide really well. Also for the male cadets, they tend to look very the same in pictures. But if you follow any one of these things on social media, you will get a good idea of what the Corps is doing and the activities the Corps is doing throughout the year. That's a lot of information, I recognize that. I'm going to go back to something that the general said at the very beginning of this process. And the key to success around here, there's a lot going on. But if you can focus on helping your roommate, helping your classmates, and then yourself to do the right thing all the time in the moment, you are on your way to success around here. Put another way, that is the university's motto, that I may serve, but prosum. But recognize that service is service to others. And by serving those others done properly, that means 449 people are looking out for you. And you're one of 449 people who are looking out for the person next to you. That is all I have for this morning. So thank you for coming. I think your next stop is with your ROTCs, which are going to be on the 2nd floor for Air Force and Navy, and on the 3rd floor for Army. So thank you very much.